Hey, what's up everybody? Grant here with OMG. Today I'm going to be discussing the differences between Final Cut 7 and Final Cut X and why I use Final Cut 7 and not what I call iMovie Pro. Um, so right now we are just in Final Cut Pro X, which was released this year in June. Now the one thing I am going to comment on real quick is just recently they started reselling Final Cut 7 back on the market for 1,000 even compared to the 300 or 400 for this, depending on if you get compressor with it and everything. So real quick, I just want to comment on the only thing that I like about this at all, and I mean this is the only thing, is the 64-bit processor making it, it just renders everything immediately, or you can see this little, if I drag something down here, it'll start rendering it. So I don't have to wait for anything. I can stack a bunch of layers and it'll automatically play it. That is the only benefit. Everything else about this product is garbage in my mind. And there are specific reasons why I think the Apple production team did a lot of things, and I think out of all of Apple's products they've ever produced that I've ever gotten my hands on, this is the only one that I can say that was not user. It wasn't. They didn't do it with users in mind. They did it with money in mind, which they are a profitable company, but they're profitable because they have users in mind. In this case, they didn't. But the first thing I just want to cover besides that is the lack of ability to maneuver through this, just this window, this box that they have. It is just everything is very confined. You can't customize or move anything. I use, and a lot of people use, the trackpad very, very often rather than a mouse. It allows for so much maneuverability. Just for instance, if I were to scroll down here along the timeline, I would usually drag my fingers in and out as if I was on an iPad or an iPhone or iPod. I can't use that. I can't just scroll in and out. I don't have those capabilities. Luckily the Shift Z is still there, where I can see the entire clip from front to back. But it's retarded in my mind. I can't stand how I can't use my fingers immediately to zoom in and out. I have to do it manually. Same thing with the canvas, and also the viewer. I don't necessarily. This is a terrible version of a viewer. I can't customize anything and then drag it down. But I have to select everything manually, and I can't type in my own percentage, or yeah, it's just very frustrating when I'm trying to maneuver within it. And a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you can do still, but it's all manual functions. They got rid of a lot of the quick keys and hotkeys, but it just looks like iMovie, and I wanted something professional when this came out. For me, I use multiple screens with multiple displays, so I constantly am rearranging my canvas, my viewer, my timeline, my effects bar, my projects bars, or the browser. And this you can't. Everything is completely stuck. It's glued in. I can't maneuver anything. I can resize it maybe up and down, but that's about it. Next thing is right here in the browser. If I'm looking at one of these clips, I'm used to scrolling left and right and seeing a whole bunch of information. All the specs and details about each clip. Non-existent. You can't see it. You can't just immediately right-click and find out all the information about it. Same thing with opening up your project timeline, your projects, everything. You had everything in bins here. All your sequences were here. They've put down. This is what my sequence is at, running it. Originally in 60 frames a second, 720p. It was just a lot easier to find everything moving tabs around. It was just a lot more fluid. The next thing that I would, I don't particularly get too bummed out about. I have a lot of friends who deal with this, and in one circumstance, I've had to use XML. XML itself is not an actual program. It's not a application per se. XML is just the ability to save something and reopen it in another program, in either an earlier or later version of Final Cut, or if you have multiple people working on projects in the same office or same business, you can't open it up. Although I believe they just came out with a recent update for that version. You can do slightly some of those things, but it's hell on somebody who's trying to collaborate on a project, and you can't get it done. So next thing is there's a whole slew of things I could go over. I'm just touching on the main things that bug me. If I scroll this playhead above my timeline, it's I don't see exact markers. I like to snap to stuff. Although snap is over here, just by hitting N, I can turn it on and off. But I'm used to seeing, tick marks, hash marks for every piece a second. And also, I used to be able to right click and would I rather do it by seconds, or would I rather view this by frames, which was very easy to do my ins and outs. So that's one big thing. The next thing is when I actually first tried to do this tutorial itself, I was going to open up Final Cut 7 and Final Cut X, and it won't allow me to even have both of them open. I have Final Cut Express and 2 copies of Final Cut Pro. So if I'm working on a project and I want to open it up in another duplicate application, I have it on there. It doesn't interfere. It doesn't collapse the other one down or tell you to quit it. This one I'm forced to work only on this and not the other one. And which brings me to my next thing. This is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I'll give you an example. Imagine Microsoft Word came out with Word 2012. Has some amazing new features. It looks pretty cool, but you can't open up any project or any file prior to the 2012 version. People would go nuts. I have documents from 2003, 2004 work projects, or my receipts or list or documents. Why would Apple go and do that? It literally baffles me. Just completely confused. I could sit here and go on and on and on, but to me, this is iMovie Pro. This is not Final Cut Pro. This was not made for professionals. This is made because, the ability to create media out there has been given to everyone, and they want everybody to have the ability to make cheaply made movies very quickly just to satisfy themselves. This is not a program that is meant for any sort of professional. You could get some basic stuff done, but if you're trying to be very, very good about about having very professional work and having an easy workflow, this is not the program to have. So that's why I use Final Cut 7 and the studio that comes with it. So that's my kind of 2 cents on all this. Feel free to leave a comment, ask any questions, raves and rants. I'd love to hear your guys' stuff on why you do or don't like this. So that's it for now. Thanks.